Hello everyone, my name is Aaron and this is the Game Day Hour. Welcome back to another episode. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about free agency from the NFL. So, free agency started a few weeks ago and it's been rampant. I want to go through a lot of the free agency signings, but going through all of them would take a lot of time and there's just a lot that has happened. Some that were big and some that were not. So what I'm going to be doing in today's episode is we're going to be looking at my top 10 favorite free agency moves. Now remember, this is subjective. What comes down to a great free agency move for me is just how much I like the fit and the direction I see this team going. So with that said, you'll see my top 10 favorites. I'm going to go from 10 all the way to 1, and it's simple as that. So hope you guys are ready because I'm ready. Let's get started. Coming in at the number 10 spot, we have Josh Jacobs signing with the Green Bay Packers on a 4-year, $48 million contract. Now, in doing so, the Packers also let go of Aaron Jones, who was their longtime running back and an incredible back, by the way, who's now with the Vikings. But Josh Jacobs has been on an incredibly weak roster with the Raiders. Not seeing a lot of playoff time. He's only had one time in the playoffs and they lost to the Bengals. So the Raiders wasn't a great situation for him, and he was also part of that running back mania where it's just the running backs weren't being paid well, and he was complaining about it. Many other running backs were complaining about it, and him going to the Packers with Jordan Love and just what the Packers are doing. They're a young team that's getting ready to make bigger pushes. Last year they went to the divisional round and they lost to the Niners. This move tells me that the Packers are just they're biting, almost scratching at the chance of being at the Super Bowl. And so I love this move by the Packers. I think he's an amazing running back still in his prime, and he's going to do a lot of damage for him. Coming in at the number 9 spot, we have Keenan Allen being traded from the Los Angeles Chargers to the Chicago Bears. And from what I see, there is a 4th round pick that's involved in this, but the point is, Keenan Allen, a longtime Charger, is now with Chicago. Now, Chicago made some moves already. They dropped Justin Fields. They got DeAndre Swift, and they're pretty much going to draft Caleb Williams. So getting Keenan Allen to pair up with DJ Moore and the chance, since the Bears have like 2 picks to potentially get another wide receiver, they're looking to give Caleb Williams all the power in the world he needs to operate that offense. Now, if they use Caleb Williams right, the Bears could be a playoff team, but I don't know. I think what is very interesting about this trade is I would have never saw Keenan Allen going to the Bears, mostly because I didn't know Jim Harbaugh had a different view for the Chargers. But knowing where Chicago is offensively and where they could be going with Caleb Williams, I think this is a good enough trade to be in the top 10, but I can't put it any higher because there's a chance he might not even be the number 1 wide receiver on that team. So it's a good trade, and I put it higher than Josh Jacobs because it does bolster up an already loaded offense just waiting for Caleb Williams, but can't put it any higher than that. Coming in at the number 8 spot, we have Patrick Queen signing to the Pittsburgh Steelers, a deal that's worth 3 years, $41 million. Wow. I didn't really know a lot about Patrick Queen until this last season, but I also find it extremely amusing that he chose to go to Pittsburgh after being with Baltimore. You got to know when they go back to Baltimore, they're going to boo Patrick Queen like there's no tomorrow. But the Steelers are in this, I wouldn't say rebuilding mode. They're more or less just trying to have a new identity on offense because they looked really mediocre last year despite going to the playoffs. So you're bolstering up that defense along with TJ Watt and many others, and Patrick Queen being at the linebacker core. I mean, that's going to be destructive for Pittsburgh. So their defense is going to get a lot better. There's just a lot more question marks on that offense, which is why this pick isn't much higher. But I like what Pittsburgh is trying to do. They have been very active in free agency, and I want to see what else they do in the draft. There's some hope for Pittsburgh, and this is just more than just being a winning team, but actually a long-lasting playoff team, potentially. So that's why it's at number 8, but I'm not going to put it any higher. Coming in at the number 7 spot, we have Chris Jones re-signing with the Kansas City Chiefs, a deal that's worth 5 years, $95 million. Whoa, that just loaded the market up. Chris Jones has been a very vital piece for that defense for the Kansas City Chiefs. And I also asked this question in a YouTube short. I asked how important he is to Kansas City. If you had to rank every single 53 players on that roster, where does he land? Some people said two, some people said three, some people say four. I'm going to say he's the second most important, just behind Patrick Mahomes, and yes, even higher than Travis Kelce, because he is the anchor to that defense. And just to show that Kansas City appreciates what he's done, 5 years, 95 million. But they did just lose L'Jarius Sneed, which was weird to me. But he didn't make my top 10 on the list because it's the Titans. So, but Chris Jones resigning was huge for Kansas City. They just got to put a little bit more on that defense because Sneed is a big loss. But Chris Jones, he can continue to do his thing. He's still very much in his prime, and he's still very much a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. Back at the Kansas City Chiefs, coming in at the number 6 spot, we have Marquise Hollywood Brown signing with the Kansas City Chiefs, a deal that's worth 1 year, $11 million. So, if you remember last year, what's the biggest complaint we had with the Chiefs? They could not catch anything throughout the season. Now, I'm not saying Hollywood Brown is a big bolster to that wide receiver group, but knowing they could fix a lot of problems also in the draft, this is just a good sign of what's to come to give Patrick Mahomes as many weapons as he can. Because Marquise Brown, man, can ball. Have him next to Rashid Rice and Travis Kelce and potentially another wide receiver to put on that team. There's a chance that Patrick Mahomes is going to have a lot of weapons and he's going to have a lot of potential to be even better than he was this year. And this year, he struggled because of the drops. I don't see that being much of a problem next season if they do exactly what I think they're going to do. Coming in at the number 5 spot, we have Justin Fields being traded from the Chicago Bears to the Pittsburgh Steelers. From what I see, there's a conditional 6 that could convert to a potential 4th round pick. The whole converting trade or draft picks is kind of lost on me right now. I'll have to learn a little bit more about that. But the reason why this is really high up on my list is because prior to that, the Steelers got Russell Wilson. So now you have a quarterback room that just went from having Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, and I can't remember, Mitch Trubisky. Now you have Russell Wilson, who's going to be the starter, and Justin Fields. I love the vision because we already know Russell Wilson's on his way out. He doesn't really have much more to offer, but Justin Fields is still highly potential. He has so much potential. And Stephen A said it best. He said, Russell Wilson is for the here and now. Justin Fields is for the future. And if you look at it from that regards, Justin Fields is going to probably get treated better than he was at Chicago. I don't think Chicago knew what they were doing with Justin Fields when they drafted him, and they never coached him properly. But now he's going to have a fair amount of weapons, a good backfield. He's going to have a mentor in Russell Wilson and a great coach in Mike Tomlin. He might have just hit the gold spot for his development. And because of that, he has to be top 5. He may not be starting right now, but when he does start, Pittsburgh's going to be dangerous. They are going to be extremely dangerous. Coming in the number 4 spot, and knowing where I went with the Patrick Queen move, this one feels a little bit weird, but I have to put it up there. Number 4 is Christian Wilkins signing with the Las Vegas Raiders, 4 years, $110 million. Now, Wilkins has spent the majority, if not his entire career with the Miami Dolphins, and while Vegas doesn't have much going for it, they kept their interim head coach and made him the full-time head coach, which was great. They put Christian Wilkins along with Max Crosby. Now, most of the questions are going to come on offense. They still have Devontae Adams, but they lost Josh Jacobs, and Jimmy Garoppolo is now with the Rams. So there's a chance they're going after a quarterback in the draft. Might actually, no, because I have a theory. I don't know if I'll come out with a pre-draft video, but I will be coming out with the live draft reaction. And because of that, I'll let you know who I think they're going to pick. But I do think they're going after a quarterback in this next draft. And because of that, I am going to kind of stay silent on that. But knowing where this defense is right now, they look like they're putting a lot more emphasis on the defensive play. And because of that, he's number 4. Coming in at the number 3 spot, we have Derrick Henry signing with the Baltimore Ravens, a deal that's worth 2 years, $16 million. It's for obvious reasons why this is top three, because it's Derrick Henry, number one, and number two, he's in the same backfield now with Lamar Jackson. Not only do you have the most mobile quarterback and the closest thing to Michael Vick we've ever seen, but now we have a running back fullback hybrid there too. That run game for Baltimore is going to be insane. However, the reason why he's not higher is because OBJ just said he's not going to play with the Ravens this next season, so his time with Baltimore is done. They have to bolster up that wide receiver spot again. Zay Flowers is a nice pick, and Mark Andrews is going to be back, but at the same time, there's a lot more that needs to be done. And because of that, I have to say he's only number three. But knowing what that run game can potentially be, some defenses are going to be fearing. And because of that, he is top three on my list. Coming in at the number 2 spot, we have Kirk Cousins signing with the Atlanta Falcons, a blockbuster 4-year, $180 million deal. Now, there's an obvious reason why it's not number one. It's because Kirk Cousins is 35. But it's a quarterback signing that is humongous for the Falcons, who have so much potential. Their offense is so loaded. Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. There's a lot going for it. The question mark now lies with the defense, which I think they're going to do a lot on or during draft day, and that's a good thing for the Falcons. But Kirk Cousins signing with them, that was huge. Now, no disrespect to Desmond Ridder, he's out. Now you got Rondell Moore there. I mean, the Falcons, they look like they're potentially going to contend with the NFC South. Now, that doesn't say much because the South is kind of weak, but you have to give it to the Falcons. They made some very, very big moves that could have big impacts for the future. So Kirk Cousins, number two, but number one to me is extremely obvious, and that is Saquon Barkley signing with the Philadelphia Eagles, a deal that's worth 3 years, $37.75 million. Guys, the Eagles have just won free agency because this isn't the only move they made. They've gotten some big moves, but this is the one that strikes me the most because now that Barkley's there, here's their offense. Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith. They recently got Devontae Parker, sorry, and they still have Dallas Goedert. That offense has all the weapons it needs to succeed. Now under Kellen Moore, there's life back in Philly. And I hate to say that as a Cowboys fan, but there's life back in Philly. And the Cowboys haven't done anything in free agency, so whatever. The Eagles made some very big moves. Howie Roseman is a wizard. He is a freaking wizard. And now the Eagles look like potentially the likely team to not only go to the Super Bowl, but actually compete even against the Kansas City Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. And it's all because they picked up some very vital pieces, and now Barkley's going to be their back for 3 years potentially, maybe even more. Yeah, this Barkley deal was amazing, and the Giants they didn't care. They went after Daniel Jones the year prior. They went to go pay him. They didn't pay Barkley. They should have paid Barkley, and that is what happens. Barkley left, and now he's in a much better position than he was when he was with New York. So congratulations, Philadelphia. You just won free agency. Let's see what you do in the draft. But that is my top 10 free agency signings. But before I go, I want to first talk about, since tomorrow I'm recording this on a Wednesday, it's March 27th. Tomorrow is the opening for the baseball season. I got myself a fantasy baseball draft. I want to tell you about my team. Give me 1 second. Did the draft during the weekend, and here is who I ended up drafting. I drafted JT Realmuto, Vladimir Guerrero, Mookie Betts, Manny Machado, Anthony Volpe, I don't know, Adolis Garcia, Kyle Schwarber, Evan Carter, Luis Reyes, Max Muncy, Wilson Contreras, Willie Adams, and Steven Kwan as like my offense. And then for pitching, I got Tyler Glasnow, Joe Musgrove, Michael King, Kenley Jansen, Bryce Miller, Griffin Jacks, Kenta Mate, Luis Varland, Mackenzie Gore, and Max Scherzer. I think I did a pretty good lineup, but this is just to remind y'all that tomorrow is baseball season. It's the beginning of the MLB. And my episode, the baseball episode I came out with a couple weeks ago, episode 5, I'm pretty sure, jumped over 100 views. Now, I've only ever had another episode do that, and that was an NBA episode. So thank you for the support on it. I'll leave it in the description below if you haven't seen it already. Um, I don't know when this episode's coming out. Hopefully, either tomorrow, Thursday, or Friday. I don't know, but I'm gonna try to get it done as quickly as possible. It was supposed to come out today on a Wednesday, but I had some things, push it back. But that's fine. But yeah, now it's time to move to the outro. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe. As a matter of fact, when it comes to subscribers, 30% of you who continuously keep watching my content are subscribed. The rest are not. And if you keep coming back and liking this content, hit the subscribe. I'm starting to do a lot more things with this channel. Like I do shorts now. I try to go onto all the social medias to, communicate with you guys and talk sports with you guys. So please subscribe and go follow me on my social medias. They're all in the description below. Be prepared for baseball season, and the NFL draft is just around the corner. There's some episodes I had to scrap due to time, but there's some episodes I'm going to keep. I still hope to do that live draft reaction, and I'm looking to also do some, not partnerships, but collaborations with some other podcasters in the future. So be prepared for that. Anyways, that'll do it for me. Hope you guys have a great day. Take care and goodbye.